Hi, everyone. Welcome to Open Enrollment 2021. For those of you who were unable to attend any of the live sessions, I wanted to give you just a little bit of the most important information regarding open enrollment this year for 2022. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. As a reminder, open enrollment will close in workday at 4 o'clock p.m. on Friday, November 5th. That is a hard deadline. For those of you who have been through open enrollment with me in the past, know that I am very serious about that. And the last day to log points in your Health Check 360 portal is Friday, November 19th. So if you need any help with that part, I am going to touch on that a little bit in this presentation. I think I'm going to try to keep this at about 20 minutes, so it won't take too long to go through, but I do want to make sure that you know that you can reach out to us. Just a few reminders. Please make sure that you have beneficiaries listed in Workday. Even if you don't elect any additional supplemental life insurance with Lindenwood, we do provide all full-time employees with a $50,000 policy. If something happens to you, I'm not able to come back to you and ask who you wanted that money to go to. And if you know anything about probate, you know that $50,000 actually doesn't go that far. So please make sure that you put beneficiaries in there so they can look a little more like this should something happen to you. Also, please double check that your address is up to date in Workday. This is how you'll receive any information from the carriers. We will be receiving new medical insurance cards this year. However, your old ones will continue working. It's just there are some regulations that require us to provide new medical insurance cards this year. So please just double check those addresses in Workday for us. So I want to remind everybody a little bit about the role of Health Check 360. Wellness scores are based on 5 criteria. So that would be LDL, HDL, blood pressure, glucose, and tobacco. Health Check 360 does pull a lot of other panels, but your score is only based on that 5 criteria. Our goal with the whole Health Check 360 and wellness program is health awareness. The more conscious we can be when we're consuming benefits, the healthier our plan can be. And then that helps keep our copays, deductibles, and premiums down. We want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to prevent catastrophic claims for anything that's preventable. So there are things like cancers, certain health conditions, certain chronic conditions that people cannot control. They can just manage. They're born with it, or something out of their control happened. But there are a lot of things that we can control, and that's why the scores are based on the LDL, HDL, blood pressure, glucose, and tobacco. Those are all things that can be controlled, monitored. You can work with a medical provider and help manage so it does not become a catastrophic claim. So, what do you need to do to maintain the wellness participation rate for 2022? So, I get a lot of questions on this, and please note that I do take all of that feedback very seriously. We're going to be restructuring this next year to make it a little more user friendly. We always try to be as vague as possible so you can be creative, but I know that maybe the way that's being communicated versus how it's set up in Health Check 360 might be a little confusing. So with that being said, we're working to restructure that. However, this year, we're still in this year. So a couple things you can do: the biometric screening. As long as you do that, you earn those 200 points. Completing that wellness survey, that's 10 points. Meeting or maintaining your health goal, that's 400 points. And so as long as you have met or maintained your health goal, which means you either have maintained a score of 65 or above from last year, or you improved by 5 points, then that you will get that 400 points. Please understand that that's a manual EIB on the Health Check 360 side, which means that it takes a little longer to load those 400 points. And so those there's just a lag in that, and there's not a whole lot we can do about it, but as long as you see that 65 or higher, you know that you'll get that 400 points. You can view a Health Check 360 webinar. Those will load automatically. You can just go through the portal, and there's a lot of different webinars that you can take. A lot of the things I get are complete a Lindenwell challenge. Now, we do host these challenges every month. Whitley Huxhold does an amazing job and has the communication set up really nice. And so, our goal with that is really to get you thinking about well behaviors. If you try something that you've never done before, we consider that a win. Maybe you're somebody who's never been to the gym before and you're like, you know what? I'm going to try doing a push up today. We consider that a big win because you are thinking in a more well way. And so that is our whole goal with that. So those calendars every month serve as a guide. So for those of you who are somebody who goes to the gym every single day and you're like, well, this is too easy, that's perfectly fine. You can challenge yourself. Maybe it's okay, well, I'm going to go to shred 415 four times a week for the next month instead of like twice. Great for you. Use that as your challenge and submit something showing that you've done that for the month. You can earn those wellness points for that. Maybe you're somebody who's just started your own exercise routine. That's great. Just write something up on a Word document and submit that. If you ran a 5K, take a picture or submit something. We will award those points for any of those, and you would do it under a Lindenwell challenge. The point is that serves as a guide. Maybe it'll inspire somebody to do something that they haven't already been doing. And we have to be able to provide something that anybody can do and that's relatable to anybody. We are looking at different ways to offer more intense challenges for those who want to do that kind of thing, and that's great too. But we want everybody to be able to participate. The other thing, attend a preventive care visit. That you can use a lot of different things. If you're getting a mammogram, a colonoscopy, a women's wellness exam, prostate exam, any type of annual physical, flu shot, COVID vaccination, all of those things, those biannual dental visits, dermatology screening, all of those things are considered preventive care. You can just upload an EOB, explanation of benefits, or anything like that. Maybe a receipt from your flu shot or showing that you got that today. All of those things count. So that is an easy 25 points. I have gotten a lot of questions if you can use the biometric screening as a preventive care visit. The answer is no, because you're already awarded 200 points for doing the biometric screening. So please know that it has to be outside of that. The last thing I want to point out is what I like to call community wellness, but it falls under the social and emotional health. So if you are doing anything, we've had a lot of Linden Giving events. There's been a lot of opportunities on campus. If you're mentoring students, if you're volunteering for your kid's school, if you donate $1, if you donate $1,000 to something, it doesn't matter. You're doing something to contribute to a better community. So all of those things count. Again, if you have any questions on that, please reach out to either Jessica Bucci or myself, and we'll be more than happy to walk you through that process. In case you haven't heard, there will be no increase to the wellness participation and non-participation rates for 2022. I always like to point out the amount that Lindenwood does pick up for you. So, we're not a public school. We don't get money, and we don't get tax dollars to pay for anything really, but especially our medical insurance. Those are things that we have to fund ourselves. So that's why the plan is set up the way that it is. Per usual, I just like to do a snippet of this. If you're on the plan by yourself, it's $1,000 a month in network. If you're on the plan with one or more dependents, you go up to $2,000 per calendar year. So that would be just $1,000 for you and $1,000 for everybody else combined. That means if one of your dependents breaks a leg and hits the deductible, then the deductible for the family has been met for the year. You would still have the $1,000 for yourself. The out-of-pocket maximums are listed as $3,000 and $6,000. However, that's really not going to come into play unless something major happens to you, in which case, hopefully you would reach out to me for help, and I would be more than happy to help you with that, because it can be a little difficult to navigate, but that's not the norm. Physician office visits, those are all covered at 100%. So that's anything like annual exams, colonoscopies, mammograms, flu shots, COVID vaccinations, all of those things. Physician office visits are $20 for any regular doctor or primary care, and $40 for anybody with an ologist at the end of their name or their title. I'm sorry. Um, I know I haven't spent any time on the out of network benefits, but I just want to let you know that it's very hard, very difficult actually, to find an out of network provider. So please, if you need any help with any of that, reach out. But it's very rare that we've had any doctor out of network. We have the largest national network in the United States. Really difficult. Emergency rooms, urgent cares are all here. Pharmacy retail is listed down here, of course. But you know that we have a couple other benefits that we've added into our plan over the years. So a reminder, telemedicine benefits, hashtag best thing ever, because they are. It's available 24/7 with a $0 copay. Their information will be on the back of your medical insurance card. You will need your insurance card in order to create a profile online, and I recommend doing this so when you need to use it, you're already set up, because you can put in your pharmacy information, your primary care information, and then your personal information in there. And that way, when you're sick, you can call them up and they can actually send a prescription over the phone to your pharmacy that you've already listed in the site. So it just makes it a little easier when you're not feeling well. You would use this for acute conditions, or maybe you might be overreacting to some symptoms that could be more serious. You can always call them and say, do you think I'm overreacting? Should I go to an urgent care or an ER? And they will tell you. But you get a call back within an hour, and they will refer you if they believe that you should be referred to those other places. But right now, during COVID, it is extremely difficult to get into your regular doctor. So if you have a cold or flu or something like that, sometimes it's just easier to use telemedicine benefits. Rx and Go Pharmacy benefits. This has been an amazing benefit over the years. Last year, Linwood employees saved around $54,000, and we're talking $12 per medication prescriptions. So that's a lot of dough. That's a lot of meds. But basically, you can get free generic maintenance medications by mail. You can receive up to 90 days at a time at no cost to you. Anyone who has met me knows that I'm obsessed with dogs. So just one prescription a month at $12 is $144 a year, which is the cost of just one rescue Chihuahua. So either save a life or buy yourself something nice. My point is, if your medication can be free and you not pay for it, why wouldn't you just have an extra $144 a year? It's amazing. It is separate from our mail order program with our medical insurance. You would have to go online to rxandgo.com, and I believe that is in this slide. I apologize. When we were doing these live, it made more sense to go the other way, but I'll go back to the other slide in just a moment. But you can actually go to Rx and Go pharmacy benefits. You would click up here for members. You would create an account, and then you can also actually search medications that are available. You can sort a lot of different ways: alphabetically, newest, preventive, most popular, or by therapeutic class. So it can be neurological, diabetes type 1. It can be mood stabilizers, anything like that. There's actually thousands now medications that they offer. And then you would need a pharmacy profile form, which is located in Workday Useful Links under the Benefits tab. If you have difficulty finding that, please just let me know and I'd be happy to send one to you. That being said, Rx and Go is expanding, and we're offering something called Rx and Go Beyond. And so this is an international mail order program for brand name prescriptions. Right now, there's about 140 branded and frequently used medications, and they're personally imported by members and shipped from a fulfillment pharmacy in Canada. And so this is a very common thing. They're unopened. It's not like they're used. We're literally just ordering, or I'm sorry, Rx and Go is literally just ordering them through this company out of Canada to be able to offer their clients. And I don't have the list yet of what those the types of brand names or anything like that. But if you go into rxandgo.com under how I showed you in the next slide, where you can search medication type, you can see if anything you're taking might be included in there. So, and those are for prescriptions that are about like $40 a month. So you can rescue even more Chihuahuas, and then maybe we can open up a shelter. So again, you would go to rxandgo.com. You can search medications to see if anything that you're taking might qualify. Voluntary dental benefits. Sorry about that. No increase for 2022. I don't think we've had an increase in dental in a really, really long time, but there are no changes. As you know, dentists negotiate different rates through Delta Dental. So you can literally go anywhere you want to have your fangs worked on. However, if you're going to a PPO versus a premier dentist, you're going to get a higher savings. It doesn't matter where you go. You know, if you want to go to the more expensive place, that's totally fine. That's up to you. But just know that you do have an opportunity for cost savings there. Voluntary vision benefits. There's also no increase for 2022. I actually think that our rates might, I think we were on a three-year rate guarantee for that. Their flyers are a little more difficult to see because they use a lot of fluorescent colors, but it's a very good plan. And all of this information, like I said, is available in Workday Useful Links under the Benefits tab. Again, I'm happy to send any of that to you. Direct Path Advocacy Program. This is a free and confidential service, and it's available to you or anyone who's on the plan with you. So it's medical, dental, or vision, or a combination of the three. They assign a personal advocate to work on your behalf. They can help you with things like claims and billings assistance, provider searches, deductible assistance, and cost analysis and price comparisons. So with claims and billings assistance and deductible assistance, I kind of lump those into the same. And that is, sometimes you never know who you're supposed to pay what amount to. Sometimes you'll start getting bills in the mail for a procedure, and you'll get one from the medical provider, you'll get one from the facility, and then SSM will also randomly send you another bill because that seems like it happens all of the time. So Direct Path can actually help you figure out, okay, I'm getting all of these bills, but I know my deductible's only $1,000. So something's awry. They can actually help you sort that out to make sure that you don't overpay. I always recommend questioning and having them bill you. Provider searches, so you can get really detailed with this one. You can call them up. You can say, hey, I work for Lindenwood University and I want to see a psychiatrist. I only want to speak to a female. I need someone who specializes in depression, and I want somebody who's within 10 minutes of my zip code. They will email you back a report of all in-network providers who fit that criteria. You can do provider searches for a lot of things if you're looking for specialists. There's no list of in-network providers because the list would be millions of pages long. There's a search that's also available in Workday, but I just wanted you to know if you're looking for something a little more specific, like a provider, a facility, anything like that, they can definitely help you with that. The thing I really want to focus on is cost analysis and price comparisons. So procedure costs can vary dramatically, and your provider is actually incentivized for referrals for certain procedures. So I get several MRIs a year. So I use that example, but things like colonoscopies, mammograms, again, those are covered at 100%, but you can actually make money by going through this process with Direct Path, because everybody should be getting those preventive exams once they become of age or medical necessity. So my neurologist will always say, Candace, my office will call you to set this up. And it's always through SSM. And I'm like, just Dr. T, you know better. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to practice what I preach. And he's like, okay, whatever. And that's because he's incentivized to keep me and those dollars within that facility. However, if you go through Direct Path Rewards, you can actually earn a reward for choosing the lower costing option. So you call them up, you say, hey, I'm Candace, I work for Lindenwood, and I have orders for an MRI of the brain with and without contrast. That's the other thing. You need to know what the orders are for. So you can't just call them and say you need a scan. You kind of have to know at least what the scan is of. So then they will email you back 3 choices. And as you can see here, I used Lindenwood zip code, but if you wanted to use closer to home or whatever, you could. And so this particular time, this is what I did. And so I chose Metro Imaging, but you can see if I had gone to professional imaging where my neurologist would have liked me to have gone, the cost difference to the employer would have been $1,400 different, even though my out of pocket doesn't really change. Now you might be asking yourself, why should I care? Well, you should, because it's all coming out of our fund. It's all coming out of our cost sharing pool. So the more we spend, the more we're going to pay for everything else. So that's why we have this in place. So I went and I had my MRI, and I received what's called my EOB, or my explanation of benefits, in the mail. And this is my actual EOB. And then I sent this back to the person who I was working with at Direct Path to prove that I had the procedure. And then I went to the lowest costing option. And then a little while later, I received this really amazing email that said, hey, you're eligible for $277.87 back on your next paycheck. So we are rewarding you with the cost difference between the higher costing option and the lowest costing option that you chose, up to 20%, or I'm sorry, yeah, 20% of that, up to $1,000 per procedure. Sometimes you're already going to the lower costing option. So you actually have nothing to lose if you just go through this process to see, and then you can actually get a reward back. I get monthly reports that'll just say Candace Terry 277.87. I have to at least know that so we can get you paid on your next check. If you have any questions on that, just let me know. There are flyers in Workday, but the more people that use this, the better. And that way you can look a little more like this when your paycheck is just a few bucks more than usual. As a reminder, Lindenwood does provide basic life insurance in the amount of $50,000, accidental death and dismemberment up to $50,000, and long-term disability. So the basic life, that's just your base. I call it the basic B life insurance policy. Pays out $50,000. There is an age reduction schedule that starts at age 65. So if you fall into that age range, just be aware of that. AD&D, it's just if there's an accidental death or dismemberment, that would pay up to $50,000 for that as well. LTD, what that does is it'll pay 60% of your monthly earnings up to a maximum of $10,000 per month. The waiting period for that is 180 days, basically 6 months. So that means you've been incapacitated for 6 months of working. And then those benefits would pay out until you are either deemed no longer disabled or you reach Social Security retirement age. A couple of the voluntary benefits, I'm actually going to jump right from the long-term disability to the short-term disability, because the short-term disability would cover you in that interim period while you're waiting for that long-term disability to kick in. So 6 months is a long time to go without a paycheck. So I just tell people all the time to really think about this benefit, because this would pay 60% of your weekly earnings up to $1,000 a week in the short term. It's payable after 14 consecutive days and up to 26 weeks, which is the 6-month waiting period for the long-term disability. So potentially you could go from one to the other in the event that you were completely disabled from working. Now, I do want to note that the long-term disability, because it's 100% employer paid, is taxable, but the short-term disability, supplemental life, and then you'll see in the next slide, accident and critical illness, those are taken from your checks post-tax. So these benefits are not taxable. So you can actually make really close to your salary, or your take home on the short-term disability, because we do that. So I just want you to be aware of that. We do that on purpose so you can get the most amount of money. With the supplemental life, evidence of insurability is required for all new elections. It's just some medical questioning, but you can purchase this in increments of $25,000 up to $100,000. Spouses are eligible for 50% of whatever you elect in supplemental. Children are a flat 10 grand. I do want to say there is an age reduction on here as well, that starts at age 65. The only other thing I want to add on the short-term disability, while you don't have to do evidence of insurability, you are subject to pre-existing conditions and they will only pay out so much or not at all. So I get a lot of ladies every year who wait until like April and they're like, I'm going to have a baby in July. I want to add the short-term disability in July when I have the baby. You can add the short-term disability because that's a qualifying life event. However, it's not going to cover you for that time period of incapacitation because you haven't been paying into it. So I really just want to harp on that because it happens at least once a year, no matter how many times they say it. But so please really think about that. Let me know if you have any questions. Accident insurance and critical illness are a couple other voluntary benefits. Accident insurance is really great if you work in athletics or operations or you have kids in sports. Basically what it does it reimburses certain amounts for certain injuries that are accident related. So that can be something like broken bones, burns, sprains, anything like that. It would pay. There's what's called a schedule in Workday, and it would pay like $750 towards a deductible. It'd pay up to like $250 towards an ER copay, anything like that. Critical illness insurance, that one does require evidence of insurability as well. The accident does not, but this provides a benefit to you or your dependents if you're diagnosed with a specific illness. Now, you'd have to be enrolled in this prior to being diagnosed, but you can buy this in increments of $5, $10, $20, or $30,000. Should you be just simply diagnosed with something like cancer, heart, and organ issues, anything like that, it would pay out whatever amount that you've elected. And again, that would be with no taxes taken out. Flex spending accounts will continue through P&A Group. Right now, the maximum for 2022 is $2,750. However, the IRS has not made its final ruling on 2022 rates, or I'm sorry, limits. So it's rumored to be anything from $2,800 to $2,850 for 2022. That being said, if you max out at $2,750, we will automatically bump you up to that $2,800 or the $2,850. We assume that if you're maxing out that you want the max, we'll send you an email just reminding you. But typically the IRS waits until the very last minute to make that decision. For dependent care, that will continue at $5,000 for 2022. That does run on a calendar year from January 1st to December 31st. This is the only benefit that you have to re-enroll in every year. That is an IRS regulation. And you have until March 15th of 2022 to spend any of your 2021 election dollars. If you need help spending that, let me know. I'm really good at spending money. But long story short, there is a store online called fsastore.com. You can buy everything and anything. It's all FSA approved, and you can use your card for that. So, final reminder, open enrollment closes in Workday at 4 o'clock on Friday, November 5th. And please make sure that you log all of your points by November 19th. Please reach out to us if you have any questions. We are here to help you. And with that, I will wish you a happy spooky season, a happy open enrollment, and I look forward to touching base with you soon. Thank you.